Good morning, guys. How you doing? It is just after 6 a.m. right now, which if you're used to hunting deer and moose and that sort of stuff, it's a pretty late start, but for bears, we're definitely a lot earlier than we normally would be. So the weather this weekend's supposed to be really warm. I think yesterday we hit 27, 28 degrees. Today we're supposed to hit 25. So middle of the day, there's really not going to be much moving around. So in order to maximize the amount of huntable day that I'm going to get today, it's going to be closer to first light, closer to last light. So normally for bears in the afternoon, I find anything after 4 p.m. is the most productive. 4 p.m. to last light kind of seems to be the magic hour. Last 2 years, I've seen a lot more action early in the morning than I used to. So it's kind of opened up the first half of the day. Normally you kind of joke around, say bears are a lazy man's hunt because, you know, you could sleep in until 12 and still go out for a half day and be successful. But especially with how warm it's going to be during the middle of the day, they're going to be hunkered down. They're not going to be out and feeding. With how thick the area is that I hunt down here, I need them to kind of be out in the open. It's a lot harder to find them if they're stacked up in the brush where you can't see more than 10, maybe 15 feet max in front of you. So that's the plan. I'm going to try and get out. Other thing is, being one of the first really nice weekends of the year, it's going to be super busy in the backcountry. So I want to try and get out there ahead of most of the people that are sleeping off the party from last night. So hopefully we'll be able to connect and make something happen, but that's the plan. So I will catch up with you guys out in the field. All right, see you in a bit. Bye. All right, guys, we are out in the field. It's about 8:30 now. So I'm planning on heading farther back today in the area that I'm in, just to get away from all the traffic. There's already been a fair bit this morning. But there's a couple spots down low where I've seen fairly consistent sign over the years. So I figured I'd pop in and have a quick look. So I just kind of parked off to the side of this trail here and hiked in a little bit. Found one fresh pile of scat. Wow, freshish. Yeah, right about there. So I parked and had a little walk, but it's not a very big pile. So it tells me it's not a very big bear. And I don't know, I probably walked a third of a kilometer and didn't see anything else, so thought I heard something crashing through the bush. But yeah, one pile's not enough to keep me down here poking around, so it looked like it was probably 2-3 days old. So I'm gonna carry on, but woodpecker. All right, catch you guys a bit. Okay, guys, just want to go over a quick little footnote on scat. It's probably one of the clearest and most common signs you're going to find. Tracks aren't always super easy to find, depends on how soft the ground is, and they walk really lightly for how big they are. So more often than not, it's going to be scat that you come across. So when you're looking at it, the diameter of the coils is actually a pretty good indicator to the size of the bear. It's obviously not set in stone. There's exceptions to every rule, but it's generally a pretty good indicator of the size of bear that you're looking for. So if you see, certain piles of scat in an area, it could tell you whether it's somewhere you want to focus more time or whether you focus less time on it. So I came across 2 piles in the first spot that I wanted to check here. And I'll flip you around because it'll be easier. So this is the first pile. And for size comparison, that's not very big. You can see the coils are fairly small. It's a small pile. It's not huge at all. I would say that's probably, if I had to guess, about a 4.5 foot bear. And then very close to it, about 3.5, 4 feet away, there's this one here. These coils are marginally smaller, but I mean, again, it's not big at all. Alright guys, mid-morning update. So I decided to check another little trail on the way in here. I still haven't gotten as far back as I wanted to, but my spidey senses were tingling, so I figured I'd pull in, park, and have a quick walk. And at the very beginning, there's already a bunch of what are going to be berries growing on the side, kind of those wild raspberry, strawberry things there. So none of them are blooming yet, but they're coming, which I'm sure the bears know about. So I bailed out, started hiking, a fair bit of fireweed on it, and then about a quarter of the way in, all of a sudden, crossed a creek bed, got really, really green, lots of lush grass, lots of fireweed, still some berry bushes on the side. And then in the span of about probably a half a kilometer, there was 8 piles of scat. Kind of mid-sized, decent. They're not huge, but they're definitely bigger than the first ones I saw this morning. Yeah, and there was 2 that looked a little bit older, but the other 6 or so are from within the last 2 to 3 days. There's a couple in there that look like they were from the last 10 to 12 hours, maybe a little bit fresher. It was 27 degrees yesterday, so nothing that was out in the open would still be damp, and some of these were still pretty squishy. So obviously it's this bear's just moved into this area pretty recently, so I don't know what the temperature is right now, but I feel like we've already popped up to about 15 or 16 degrees. I think we're just after 10 o'clock in the morning here. So I think if he was out, it was first thing this morning. He's hunkered down under the trees somewhere where it's cool. So I'm going to keep going with my original plan. I dropped the GPS pin on this spot. If nothing else turns up later today, I think I'm going to double back down here this evening and then do an evening sit on this stretch of road here. I can see down most of it. And I'm hoping thermals are kind of back and forth right now. I'm hoping they kind of steady on as the day wears on here. Be a little more predictable. I'll be able to set up and wait for them. But yeah, looks like a promising spot. If nothing else pans out today, I'll come back in here. But trust your guts. Sometimes you'll find a sign in the places you least expect. Catch you guys in a bit. Guys, a size comparison I've just found compared to the one this morning. That's a decent sized bear. Alright guys, so I'm kind of stayed with my plan for the day. Anytime I see something looks like it might be promising, pop in, have a look-see. So I was driving by this spur here, and it's pretty greened up, so I figured I'd park at the bottom and walk it for a bit. So I did find one pile of scat. Now we're kind of buried in the trees here, so that'll it may fool you a little bit on how fresh it is. It seemed pretty fresh because it's not overly crispy, but probably could still be 2 days old. Definitely about twice the size of anything I've seen today. So it definitely a decent sized bear. But that was the only sign that I saw on this road. I hiked it for, same thing, about a half a click, and that was the only couple little game trails here and there where it looked like it might have gone off. There was a stump that had been torn up, and then the pile of scat, which was pretty close to the stump. But that doesn't tell me whether he's hanging around or whether he was just passing through. I'm not going to waste a bunch of time here hoping. But I did find a barred owl in the back there, which is pretty cool. You don't see them too often. Yeah, I'm not overly superstitious, but they generally tend to be good luck for me when I see owls. So we'll see. Maybe it'll pay out. It's about 2 o'clock here. I was just zapping up the road here to get to a valley that I want to get to, so I can pull off to the side, have some lunch, and glass the far side. And as I was kind of going down the road here, I happened to look over on a spur that kicked off and caught this really awkwardly big black shape. I stopped, backed up, had a look. I figured if it was a bear, it was probably one of the biggest bears I've seen in a while. And turned out it was a sow and a cub. So just the way they were placed made it look like one big black blob. But he keeps running back across the road here. He's exploring. But that's kind of cool. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and they're kicking around. So there are bears. Unfortunately, not what I'm after, but still good to see them. A healthy-looking cub, a good-looking sow. So I'll touch base with you guys in a little bit. I'm going to go find my glassing hole and have some lunch, and hopefully give my eyes a break. This windshield can't show up fast enough. This dust is just killing me today. But I'll let these guys go back to feeding. Catch you guys in a bit. It's always reassuring. Either he's hoping I kill some, or he's counting on me croaking pretty quick. Alrighty guys, it is lunchtime. So I made it up into that onto that ridge that overlooks the other side of the valley that I was trying to get to. So I'm just going to glass out here over to the far side for the next little while, see if anything pops up on the other side. I can drop down, swing around, and make a play on anything I see there. And then this road in was pretty nice too. It's mostly grass on the shoulders on the way in, a little bit in the middle. It washes out at the end here, so nobody comes back here because there's nowhere to go. So it's been pretty quiet. Passed a fair bit of bear sign on the way up here, and then probably a kilometer back, 3/4 of a kilometer back, there was one of the biggest piles of scat I've seen in a while, diameter wise anyway. So we'll see. There's a slight possibility it could be a grizz up here, but with the consistency of it, I'm leaning towards black bear, so I'm hoping it's just a really big boar. So I'm gonna have some lunch. We're gonna glass right into 4:30, 5 o'clock, and then I'll start working my way back if I haven't seen anything up here, because I've got a long ways to go before I'm back. So if nothing presents itself down here, then I'm gonna make a play on that spot that I found on the way in this morning. But I got a good feeling. Like I said, there's a fair bit of bear sign down here. That big pile was fairly fresh within the last day or two. And then I did see that sow and cub on the way up as well. So fingers crossed, we're in the right area at the right time. Alrighty guys, so I realized that somewhere in my travels today I lost the center screw for the tripod that, like the actual fixing screw that locks the Bino or the horseshoe or whatever onto the top. So I can't screw any of my attachments onto the top. So glassing has been not bad, but fairly strenuous because I can't pop my glass onto a tripod, so I've been trying to brace myself as best I can, but I think I am gonna go for a wander. I've been up here for 45, almost an hour now, so I'm gonna just double check which way the wind's blowing and then pick my direction from there. It is 10 to 8, so I bombed back. I had about 60 kilometers to make up, but I managed to get back into the spot where I saw that sign this morning. So I'm going to duck in here and sit it out till last light, so fingers crossed, see what happens. Alrighty guys, I am tapping out. I found the trail that he used to access this section of road. So I posted up on a log and waited a little over an hour and a half. And he never showed tonight, so no fresh sign in there, so he wasn't in there all day today. So unfortunately, that's just how it goes sometimes. But I think legal light was about 20 to 9, and then you're allowed an hour after that, but it's about 5 after 9, 10 after 9 now, and I know the camera makes it seem brighter than it is, but it's not that bright anymore. So that and the mosquitoes are starting to get atrocious. So that is it for me today. Yeah, so I hiked a little over 10K and then think I drove about 160 some odd, so I still have 20 some odd kilometers back out to the truck, and then I gotta load up a few more kilometers of gravel and then drive home. I hunted hard today, but it did not pan out. But I did get to see that sow and cub, so that was cool. Spotted that herd of elk. So, still a successful day. So, we'll see. Hopefully, I've got one trip planned for sure at the end of May, last weekend of May, first weekend of June. And I'll try and get out once or twice before that, but we'll see how that plays out. Next weekend's a long weekend. I normally try and avoid going anywhere on the long weekend. But I will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks.